All right, guys and gals, welcome back to episode 12 of the ReelTok Podcast. My name is George, and of course, I'm alongside my three beautiful co-hosts, Cam, Tyler, and Seth. Before we get started, please rate us, follow us, subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. That means the absolute world to us to get our engagement up and make sure people are seeing our platform and our content. We are we are slowly approaching our 5,000 subscriber goal on YouTube, in which we will begin dropping merch. I know there's been a decently high demand for merch, so that is the goal. That is when we will start doing it. So please make sure you like, follow, subscribe, comment, share on our stuff, share it with friends. Do whatever you got to do to help us out. Gentlemen, happy Sunday or Monday if you're listening to this on a Monday. How are you guys? Cam, it's been a busy week for movies, I think, around the board. So how's everyone doing?
Yeah, it's been a busy week in general. Obviously, Thanksgiving here in America, Seth. Sorry. I guess we cut you out of the Thanksgiving draft, so sorry. We cut you out.
No, I couldn't do that. I left before that. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, so, that's fair. But yeah, it was Thanksgiving here. Just a holiday season is busy as hell, especially having a newborn. Everyone wants to see the newborn. We live an hour and 20 minutes away from Emma's parents, and then 20 minutes from my parents. So we do all three Thanksgivings in one day. And we do all three Christmases in Christmas Eve to Christmas Day. And man, it's just a mess. Driving to Emma's parents, and then we go Emma's dad's, and then we go Emma's grandmother's, and then we go my parents. And man, it's a lot. It's a lot on the newborn as well. And then so that's really all I'll say about it, but didn't have a ton of time to actually watch movies this week. I did get to go see a couple of the ones that we are reviewing, but it was a very packed week. The last thing I want to say is Purdue sports. It makes me sad 99% of the time. This is the 1 week I can be happy. We're going to the fucking Big Ten championship, and we're going to beat Duke today. You'll already know the score if we beat Duke or not when this podcast comes out, because it doesn't fucking matter. Go Boilers, damn it. We're not terrible. Also, I'm a Michigan fan, so I kind of win either way.
Tyler, is Purdue beating Duke today or no?
Honestly, they have a good shot to it. It'll be a close one, but yeah, Cam's has had a great weekend for sports in his fandom. But Cam, I want to know, I feel like the best thing about Thanksgiving and holidays is eating too much and then just either napping or just at least cashing out on a couch and not moving. How do you? So if you have to go to 3 Thanksgivings, are you just doing a light little smorgasbord of trying everything there, but not too much because you got a whole nother meal coming, and then after that you have a whole nother meal coming after that?
So the way it works is we get to Emma's cousins, technically on her dad's side of Thanksgiving. We get there around 12. We do Thanksgiving. We eat a big plate, eat all that jazz. And then we go to Emma's grandparents on her mom's side. And then we don't eat there because they've already done Thanksgiving, but they're pretty lenient. They will get us something out if we want, but it's more so just family time. We're spending time with the family. They get to see the kid, all that jazz. We see her cousins, which is always nice. We see her aunt and uncle, things like that. Maybe play a card game. Her family loves card games, and so do I, so it works out well. And then we'll by 6 o'clock, we'll try to get to my parents' house, where then again we'll eat. So we do 2 big meals, but 3 Thanksgivings, and then we'll just snack at her grandparents. So yeah, but no nap. And also I had to really fight tooth and nail to get football turned on at these places. And I'm like, come on, man.
That should just be a staple in Thanksgiving household.
Emma has 4 girl cousins and 1 guy cousin, and so him and I are just hey, can we maybe throw on football during this meal? And it's always a fight, but we usually win. Also with the World Cup, people are trying to watch that right now. Thanksgiving's for football, unfortunately, so can't split my time.
Tyler, other than Thanksgiving and sports, how was your week?
It's been solid. Didn't have 3 Thanksgivings to go to, so it wasn't that stressful. I actually just stayed here for Thanksgiving. My girlfriend works nights. She was sleeping all day because she had to work Thanksgiving night. She worked the night before that. So I just did my own Thanksgiving. I cooked a ham, hash browns, stuffing, mac and cheese. I was just like cooking for like 3 hours. I just did my own little Thanksgiving. So now we just got like leftovers for days at this point. So that's how I always like to do whenever I cook Thanksgiving. I go way overboard because I love nothing more than just ham sandwiches or like turkey sandwiches for the next like 3 weeks. Like every day I'm going to work, it's like boom, there we go, we got leftovers. Easy work lunch. But yeah, other than that, been pretty average week all in all. Honestly, so we're filming this on a Sunday. For me, at least, it doesn't even feel like Thanksgiving. It was just like 3 days ago. It feels like it was already like ages ago for some reason. I don't know why that holiday seems like it came and passed so fast, but I'm sure Cam is like the opposite because he had so much to do that it's like ingrained in his head. But yeah, been a chill week all in all.
I think that's just us getting older, and the holidays don't have that spark that they used to have.
Doesn't have that oomph. For sure.
Seth, you don't obviously celebrate Thanksgiving. I know you and Anna took a little trip this week somewhere.
Yeah, we got so it's a place that's like out in the country somewhere. Way more than we'd usually be willing to spend. Like it's crazy prices for what it is, to be honest. But it was really, really nice. Had like a sat down meal. It was one of those meals where you get like palate cleansers, amuse bouches, like incredibly nice food. I think I had like veal with like a side of this really weird mash. You know, like, it was kind of like the menu kind of food. But
yeah.
Really,
You a veal guy? You a veal guy? I don't like lamb.
I like veal when I have it, but I don't have it often. I feel like if I had it too much, it's one of those foods for me that's quite like niche in a way that you have it on like these dinners, but you wouldn't overdo it because then it's like a chicken or something like that. But no, it was really nice. It was nice to get out for a bit. I think had a drink and stuff as well, which was nice. But other than that, pretty like standard week. Very, very busy. Like I've watched so much this week. It feels like already.
A ton came out, but like not only that, we obviously just watched more films than most regularly.
Yeah, it's like whenever I put like a TikTok up about like how many like ranking the films I watched this week or whatever it might be, people are always like get a life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When I've watched like 10 films, it's like I do. I promise
this is
I
my
do.
life.
Yeah, the free time I do have is used on film.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
I hate when everyone's always like, man, get a life. I'm like, how much time did you play video games this week? If the answer is anything more than 0, then you're blowing me out of the water because I'm not touching video games. It's just our free time spent on movies. Like everyone else does stuff like playing video games, but that has like less of a stigma, I guess, than watching movies because at least you're like moving your thumbs. I have no clue.
I never get like the get a life people like praise me for watching they're like I get a lot of comments where it's like, dude, you know, gym, girlfriend, work, tennis, movies, how do you juggle everything? And I'm like, there's a lot of time in the day for me to squeeze in like an hour and a half movie. I don't think I watched Bones and All, then I came home and watched an entire 2.5 hour movie after that.
I do think that Tyler has more time in the day than us though.
I mean,
me and Anna have this conversation all the time. He works full time. He runs 2 TikTok accounts in which he posts like 10 videos a day on each. He does the producing for the podcast. He does his own podcast. What else do you do? You watch you go to the cinema like what?
6 times a day.
Well, I
mean,
mean,
genuinely like
it is like. Well, I did get up at 5:30 to film the pod today, so it's like my sleep time gets cut down. So that's how we get it done.
You filmed your sports pod before this?
I haven't filmed. I've done that for like a long time. But everything else he said.
No, it's 5:30 there. Not right now. It's 6:30 now.
Yeah,
for this one.
Right.
What time are you going to sleep at the moment, Tyler?
It depends. I don't really go to bed too late.
You don't have to stay up for football though, which is nice.
Well, last night, like I stayed up till like midnight last night, like watched that tape. But normally I like go to bed before midnight, so like 11 to midnight is my range.
Like,
yeah, that wouldn't be enough sleep for me, I don't think.
I mean, sometimes I just need a reset. Like I'll usually sleep 5 hours a day, but then there's like probably once every like 10 days I'll be like, I just need to sleep in for like 7
So I used to wake up at 5:30, 6 every day. I'd go to bed at like 8:30, 9.
5, 6. It's too early for me to understand what that even means.
Sorry, 5:30, 6 a.m.
Yeah, I go to bed 87% 6.
Mine makes sense. This is the thing.
Seth, are you a World Cup guy? Like, were you disappointed by the England tie?
I don't care. I said this before. Like, I used to go watch matches all the time.
But you said that was only like 7 months ago. You said.
Yeah.
Like,
this is the thing.
What happened in that time?
I don't know.
He got a life.
It's not even that. I grew up in like a proper football family. You know, football was like, this is the first international tournament I haven't watched. I used to watch every game of the season in the Prem, the Championship. I was so into it. 7 months ago, I don't know. Like, I started watching a bit more like UFC, mixed martial arts. Started watching a bit more film. I missed one game. I missed two. I missed three, and then it was like, I've realized like I'm missing these games, and like I used to miss them, and I'd panic and I'd go and watch the highlights and stuff, and I'd be like, okay, I have to catch up, and then I missed them. I was like, I don't really care.
Yeah,
I think it's just like a switch in passion, really, and because I have like film and UFC are like my main things now. I'm just not bothered about it anymore, which is weird. Like, which is very weird. I'll admit.
If like England finds themselves in like the quarterfinals, though, are you gonna be tuning in? Like, if they get deep into the World Cup, are you gonna try to catch games, or are you just so not interested you could care less if they win the whole thing?
Probably. Like,
remember, we have a lot of English listeners. This could be really
most of my like close friends in real life are huge football fans. Like, you know, when I went to school with, ones I went to work with, stuff like that. So. Yeah, probably, but like I said, I'm just not. It's really weird because I used to go out all day, like drink. You know, I'd start drinking at like 7 a.m. and stuff like that until like an England game, and that was like kind of my whole life. And since I kind of switched around, and obviously I don't drink much anymore, I don't really go out much anymore. I feel like that comes with the culture a lot of the time. I do the same with like American football, but drinking, going out are often, you know, combining with football in terms of the culture. And because I stopped doing one, I just stopped going out for a lot of stuff, and which made me, you know, kind of miss a lot of games and stuff here and there. But if England do get like quite far into it, I probably will watch it, like no doubt. Yeah, realistically.
That's like in America. Like most people in America, obviously, aren't big soccer people, and the only time they really tune in is the World Cup.
Yeah,
it's hysterical to me seeing like. Yeah, Cam pointing to himself.
I haven't watched a single game in like 4 years.
Yeah, seeing like everyone's support like on Twitter and TikTok and Instagram. It's just like so funny. But no, it's good.
It is funny how no one in America gives a shit about soccer 99% of the time, and then all of a sudden on Twitter people are like, "What the hell are these calls, ref?" Like as if they've watched any games the last 8 years. It's like these refs are freaking blind and they don't even know half the rules.
Well, Tyler, are you watching like regularly the World Cup, or are you just tuning in for the USA?
So I'm usually a huge World Cup fan, at least like last 2 World Cups. But this year I haven't been watching much of the group stage. I've only caught USA games and then like Argentina games. But once it gets to like the round of 16, which is the next round, then I'll be watching probably like every game I can. And then when it gets to like the quarterfinals, I'll be going like out of my way to watch them all. I just think it's cool like how the whole world just comes behind something.
Question. So you know when like if you see a guy on like an English guy, a British guy, whatever, on TikTok talking about American football, do you take them seriously?
I don't take anyone seriously on TikTok.
Yeah. Fair point, but does your like American
I don't know if I've ever seen that, to be honest with you.
I get a ton.
I got a couple.
American football is a bad example because I've never met anyone. I've probably met 2 people who are into American football here. Okay, NBA, let's say. Something that's huge there. Do you think there's kind of a thing where people from the US will hear a UK person talking about this sport and be like, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about? Because that's here with you guys for football. No one cares what the American has to say football.
I could see it, but honestly for me on TikTok, if someone has like a green screen with like stats or whatever behind them, or just like if they're talking competently about something, whether I don't care what their accent is, like maybe it's just a flaw with me, but I'll buy into stuff like pretty easily.
Yeah, maybe it's just here,
strongly about something. But yeah, I guess if someone's British talking about football, no, it's still soccer. You guys drew us.
It's soccer. It's soccer.
How could it be right? You don't get the football when you don't even kick the ball that much, and it's not you can't be You are
kick it enough, all right.
I mean, soccer. You wear socks on your feet. Didn't soccer come from England? I swear. Someone fact check me on that. I swear the name soccer derived from England.
Well, interesting fact for you. The first ever professional football club is from Sheffield.
Nice.
Wow.
That's all you, baby.
Interesting fact there for you.
All right, let's keep the episode going. We're obviously, we have a ton of reviews coming up. We're going to be reviewing Bones and All, Glass Onion. We'll quickly review the Fabelmans and Strange World. We'll also very quickly review the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Because we have so many reviews, we might keep it light on the news today. Kind of just going to depend on how much time we have. So if you're a regular listener and you don't hear a news section, don't worry. That's not your headphones giving out or skipping across the pod. That is just because we did not do a news section. Let's run through a quick on today in movie history, or on this day in movie history, which is obviously on the Monday, even though we record on the Sunday. The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, the first of the Hobbit series, directed by Peter Jackson, premieres in Wellington, New Zealand. The musical Hamilton, starring Lin-Manuel Miranda and Anthony Ramos, sets a new record for most money earned in a week on Broadway, $3.3 million.
In a
week.
Leslie Odom Jr., who is in Glass Onion
Jr. as well,
but,
yes.
Fuck yeah, Hamilton, awesome. Only musical I've ever watched. So good.
Wow, you haven't watched In the Heights with Anthony Ramos?
Oh, no, sorry. That's not a...
Like
that's
like,
do you mean
like...
like...
I mean, like, only
Okay.
like, yeah.
You
And
mean
I've
like in
only
person.
seen it on Disney+.
Okay,
But
okay.
So good.
Okay.
So good. Yeah.
Victoria, when we go to London next week, not the sidetrack, Victoria got me tickets to see the Back to the Future musical on the stage
shit.
play.
That's kind
So,
of nice.
yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. And then we have a couple of birthdays. Happy birthday, Karen Gillan. Obviously, our girl Nebula. The homie Jon Stewart is celebrating today, and so is one of the best directors of the century, Alfonso Cuarón.
This is gonna be my big idiot. I thought you meant like are you talking Jon Stewart, the American comedian, or Jon Stewart, the Green Lantern?
The American comedian.
Okay. Well, that's Jon, by the way. So
Okay, my fault. My fault for spelling that incorrectly on our rundown.
Yeah.
Let's move on. It's up to you guys. I think we should do the quick reviews first. Just get Strange World, the Fabelmans,
Yeah, that's good. Man.
Knock them out.
Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special out of the way quickly. Did anyone other than myself watch the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special?
Yep.
All right. Let's talk about it.
You should have told Seth to watch it because he watched Werewolf.
There was no way Seth was going to
It was
watch.
another. Well,
No, he loves Guardians.
It was
I
another
like
like 45 minutes, and it's all about Drax.
I will watch it.
All right.
He loves
so
Drax.
then definitely watch it. We'll keep this spoiler free. I don't think there's anything
There's nothing really to spoil
necessary to spoil. Everything I said in my TikTok review, I'm just going to kind of echo. But Cam, our resident Marvel man, do you want to start us off with a little quick review?
The only thing I've got from this, and the only idea I can throw out, other than I really liked it, it's fun, it's lighthearted, so here's my only thing. I think Marvel a lot of times, and I don't have as much of an issue with it as a lot of people do. I think Marvel a lot of times confuses silly and lighthearted / fun. This is lighthearted / fun, whereas Thor: Love and Thunder, I think a lot of people find silly, and a lot of their jokes nowadays are silly. And it's not, like, this has a lot of stupid jokes, but it's I don't know if maybe Christmas, the season of Christmas, gives it like a little bit of a pass on that. But Christmas is such a joyful time, and everyone is just, for some people not so much, but it's just I don't know really how to explain it necessarily, but I think this doesn't take itself too seriously. It's real quick. It's easy to watch. You see what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. I think that's a lot of people's main problem with Phase 4, because Phase 1 through 3, obviously we had like the typical Marvel corny jokes here and there, but it never felt silly. It felt lighthearted. It was like, okay, they're trying to make these very serious, high-budget action films, but they also want to pander it to the young audience as well. So they're throwing in these lighthearted jokes. Phase 4, Doctor Strange saying, let's Scooby-Doo this shit, that's silly.
Yeah.
She-Hulk is silly. Miss Marvel is silly. There's a lot of silly moments.
Like Miss Marvel.
I know you do.
Miss Marvel's good. Highest rated show on Rotten Tomatoes.
Stop. Jesus Christ. Anyways, James Gunn did a very good job with the holiday special, bringing it back to a lighthearted nature as opposed to just Love and Thunder comedy that just feels childish.
Would you not say that's down to the characters as well, though?
No, it's down to the writing.
I think it's a little bit of both, but I think James Gunn just understands these characters so much and knows what their humor is. It's not like super childish humor, but it's kind of like, oh, I'm a fucking idiot humor.
Yeah,
which is better.
I think it does come down to the writing, of course, because obviously he wrote those characters. I just kind of feel like that those characters themselves in the Guardians can get away with saying stupid shit, whereas Doctor Strange can't because it comes across as forced. Does that make sense?
Also, the Guardians characters they've been cracking jokes from day one. Like the second we're introduced to these characters, first. They've been, like Doctor Strange wasn't
There's a big difference between the first and Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, like the first Doctor Strange, like this man is like straight up depressed, yelling at Rachel McAdams' character in like a very like aggressive way. Like there is no comedy to be found in that movie, really.
Yeah, the first Doctor Strange.
One could say
there's so much bad comedy in that
There's
film.
comedy, but like his character was never established as a comedic character the way the Guardians were.
Yeah, I guess so. But there is bad comedy in that film. What's his name? Wong?
Yeah, Wong.
Wong's. See, Wong's.
Come on. Don't come at Wong.
No, I liked him. I liked him in No Way Home. It was in No Way Home, wasn't he? Yeah.
For like 2 seconds. Tyler, what did you think of the holiday special?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was. I was gonna say it's similar to Werewolf by Night, but it's really not at all. But I just mean in terms of it's another Marvel special presentation that I thought there's nothing to dislike here. Like there's nothing at all that was bad. I was really surprised by the reaction I saw on Twitter and people on TikTok saying this is like 5 out of 5 stars. I saw several people say this is the best project of MCU Phase 4. I mean,
know that. I know you're talking about.
You saw that, yeah. Like it's like more common than I was expecting to see, and again, there's like a lot to like about this. There's nothing I dislike, but there's really nothing that blew me away about this, which is nothing wrong about it. Like I very much enjoyed my 35 minutes or whatever it was.
Yeah,
I just don't really know where people are getting this. Like this is the best thing Marvel's produced from.
That makes no sense. It's literally a singular episode.
Yeah, I just sat down and watched it, and I was like, that was fun and good, but how is anyone being like blown away by this?
That's also the thing. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like even Werewolf by Night, I had such a hard time like ranking it among like movies and TV shows in Phase 4. Like, I have it pretty high on my Phase 4 rank, but like even so, it just feels weird ranking it. Like on Letterboxd, I don't think I haven't even included the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special in my Phase 4 ranking yet, just because I have no idea.
I think it's Phase 5 though.
It will be Phase 5 because.
Oh, I thought this was the last.
Technically, I don't think it matters first.
Yeah, I don't think it matters.
But technically, Black Panther was last.
Phase 4.
Okay. So we would have talked this if we did our Phase 4 video, but we'll do that. We'll do that this week.
We'll do that eventually.
We'll do that this week.
All right, we'll move on. We're not going to harp on the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. If you're listening to this on YouTube, drop a comment. Where would you rank this? We'll just include it in Phase 4. Where would you rank this among Phase 4? I know a lot of people are obviously receiving it very well. I've seen very few negative reviews. We'll jump right into the Fabelmans, which I believe Tyler is the only soul on this podcast that saw it.
Which is weird. Like,
I don't think it's weird. It got to the Fabelmans was never like high.
I feel like I was always the one fighting for it on the pod, saying I was the most excited for it. I didn't get why like George was like, I feel like you've already made up your mind before seeing it. I'm like, I feel like I've been the most positive about the Fabelmans.
If I had time
watching the Fabelmans,
you have been a pessimist.
It's because it's a joke.
If I had time between Strange World and the Fabelmans, I probably would have taken the Fabelmans, but I didn't have time for either. So
you did. Okay.
Yeah, I figured if I was gonna pick 3 movies to watch this week, it was gonna be my most anticipated animated film of the year, and then Glass Onion and Boltons and all.
Fair. I thought you said most anticipated film then.
No, definitely not. Okay. All right, Tyler, how was the Fabelmans?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. I'm no Steven Spielberg super fan by any stretch of the imagination, so I saw people saying like the only people who like this movie are like Steven Spielberg super fans, and I'm like obviously I have no dislike for the guy. He makes great films, but I'm by no means like fighting in Steven Spielberg's corner for his movies. So I'm not a big super fan, but still absolutely love this. It's semi-autobiographical coming-of-age drama following Sammy Fabelman, who's supposed to somewhat be mirroring Steven Spielberg's life. And he grows up as a young kid in New Jersey, then he moves to Phoenix, Arizona, and then he moves to Northern California. So the movie's kind of split up into thirds like that based on different stages of his life. And the first 2 acts of this movie, I literally thought were perfect. Like, I was so enthralled, and I think all of you guys on this podcast, especially people listening to this because you love movies, you'll feel the same. Because the first act of this film in New Jersey is when he's first discovering his love for cinema, which is really cool to see. But the second act for film fans is so cool because it's literally all him making movies and, like, making movies with his friends. And you can see just using old-time cameras, using practical effects, and it's just like them in the desert making films and showing them to people. And it's just so cool to see all this come together on the screen. And I just wish it stayed like that the whole movie. Because through the first 2/3, I was like, this is a 10 out of 10 film. They then moved to California, which is when high school Sammy Fabelman comes into play. And this is where it does fall into some of the just classic coming-of-age tropes. Like, there's bullies in the high school that, like, the acting are like, oh, were bullies actually like that? Maybe they were, but it's like, come on now. And I think the problem was the actor who plays Sammy Fabelman, because this movie has Paul Dano, has Michelle Williams, it has a great cast, and then Seth Rogen as well, and they all nail it. But the kid actor who plays Sammy Fabelman, like Daniel LaFamel, I don't have it pulled up right now, but I don't know his name. I thought he was like my favorite part of the movie. And when he gets to high school, like, he's acting so great, but just everyone else in his high school is just that kind of corny cringe acting, so it just doesn't really flow well. So I still very much enjoyed it. I give it a 9.1 out of 10. But again, for me, the first 2/3, I was fully enthralled, thought this was like a perfect film. Final third, I was like, this is losing me a little bit just because it's just not as clean as the first 2/3, but still very, very enjoyable. Enjoyed it way more than I expected. I hated the trailer every time it was on. I thought it was the most corny cinema fest like trailer ever, with just that voiceover and that corny uplifting music. But this movie is nothing like that tonally. I really enjoyed it. I still think some people might say it's like boring and overly cinematic and just Oscar bait or whatever based on them watching it just not being as blown away by it. But for me, I went in with high but not amazingly high expectations, and I would say this surpassed it. So I'll leave it there.
Do you know where it goes on your rankings of 2022 so far?
Yeah, 9.1's got to be high, right?
Yeah, I put it right under Decision to Leave.
Was that 6, 7, maybe?
Wow.
No, it's right now, Fableman's at 13 for me.
Really?
Wow.
Seth's reaction to knowing that Decision to Leave is number 12.
I've 118 2022 films logged to this point. So
yeah,
there's
fair enough.
Yeah.
What's your top?
You're at 118?
Yes.
Dude, where you and Cam?
Where are you pulling these out?
Yeah, so you're past me. I'm at 105. But
last week on the pod, you guys were like seeing who's gonna get to 100 first.
No, yeah, and Cam beat me, and I did that Michael Jordan meme, and I took that personally.
I'm at 105. I haven't seen Decision to Leave, and that's why I haven't posted my top 10. Like,
is that still getting like a really limited release for you?
I think at this point it's just not in theaters. Honestly,
it's very limited here now.
What is 91 would be 5 for me. Interesting.
Yeah, and
I guess you have Bones and all up there.
I've been promising the last couple of weeks too that I'm going to be re-rating every single movie that I've watched, because I do need to. Which I'm not going to be touching every single rating, but I want to go through every single movie and be like, does this need to be altered? So some will shift around. But
I do that so quick. So like after I'm like the biggest like culprit of recency bias. Like after I saw Lightyear, I had given it a 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Oof. I still have it at a 4.
I have it at, I rewatched it and now I have it at a 3.5 out of 5. But like I do that like even Thor: Love and Thunder, I gave it 4 out of 5 at first, and I was like, all right, whatever.
Is it? You know, people annoy me when they just comment recency bias. I think it's cinema bias.
I think recency bias does exist.
Maybe, but I do think when you watch film in the cinema,
enough to admit to recency bias, because then I'd be screwed.
When you watch a film in the cinema, it is so like I can't tell you how many times I've dropped it from rewatching it outside.
Yeah,
like cinema, it does heighten the experience.
Yeah,
I see where you're coming from, Seth, but also I think that can work against you in favor because for me, and this isn't because of cameos. Everyone knows I'm like the least MCU guy, so it's not cameos.
No, it's cameos.
But Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness was one of my most disappointing theater going experiences. I went with my girlfriend and like as the credits rolled, I was like, I didn't like that at all. Like nothing about this was good. Whereas it's not, and she's like, it wasn't bad. I'm like, you're right, it's not bad. Like it was an above 5 out of 10 movie. But I was so disappointed because I went to the theater, I hyped it up and had the theater experience and it wasn't worth it. And I feel like when you go to a theater expecting something good and you're expecting to get that theater experience and it doesn't hit, then you can maybe be overly harsh as well. But I'd say more often than not, you're right. Whereas like you're gonna probably elevate.
There's definitely exceptions. Yeah, there's definitely exceptions.
Yep.
All right, we'll move on. Thank you, Tyler, for running through our Fabelmans. If I'm being honest, I have no idea when I'm gonna check this out. Hopefully this week.
Might go Monday.
Yeah, 27th of January.
Yeah.
Fair. I'll run through. No one else saw Strange World, right?
No, unfortunately not.
All right, I'll run through it very quickly. I'll also just make this little TikTok plug at Movies and Stuff 14. I posted my full review there.
If they don't know you at this point,
they're already going to follow you. They're here for you.
Yeah.
So funny enough, I think I'm on the like opposite end of how Tyler was for the Fabelmans, where I fucking loved the Strange World trailer. I absolutely adored it. It literally, and I'm not just saying this for the sake of saying it, but it looked like it was going to be like this combination of like Interstellar and then like Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania type thing. So, like it looked absolutely ridiculous. It looked like
I like the trailer.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be this just massive, massive scale science fiction epic, which in a way it was. But my level of excitement, like I said, it was my number one anticipated animated film of the year, which might shock people considering that, I think I expressed a lot of excitement for Lightyear. I could not wait for that. A journey deep into an uncharted and treacherous land where fantastical creatures await the legendary Clades, a family of explorers whose differences threaten to topple their latest and by far most crucial mission. This film stars Dennis Quaid, Gabrielle Union, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Gabrielle Union's in it.
Yeah, it's got a pretty decent cast. I actually saw a funny interview where the interviewer was talking to Dennis Quaid and Jake Gyllenhaal, and they were like, "Oh, Jake, this is the second time you're playing Dennis Quaid's son." And Jake was like, "Wait, what? I've never played his son before." And it's like, "Yes, you did, asshole. It's called The Day After Tomorrow or whatever movie."
I was thinking, did everyone see that?
Did you see? Yeah, that's the best interview moment ever.
Strange World.
Yeah. Oh, that was the worst, the most cringe.
It hurts me.
As a Jake Gyllenhaal diehard fan, it was hard to be on his team for that one.
He looked to the guy.
Yeah, but give him a laugh. Give him a sympathy laugh. Or something.
Oh my god, you're an actor. Act like that was funny.
Yeah. But
god, that was
overall,
hilarious. That's an all-time interview moment.
I'm not gonna harp on this too much. The film was good. I think it lacked that spark that we usually see in Disney, that you see in Coco, that you see in Inside Out. Very rarely do animated films not make me tear up, and I didn't feel that way after A Strange World. I don't think this film did a good enough job at truly making me care about these characters. And I don't want to spoil anything, and I won't, but like there's one particular instance in this movie that should have made me cry just given what was going on, but it happened so quickly, it happened so fast. The movie, again, didn't do a good enough job at making me give any shit about these characters. The trailers did hold up in terms of the spectacle that this movie was. I said in my TikTok review, whoever designed this world, this fantasy land that they travel to, whoever designed some of these creatures is, one, incredibly talented, two, a weird person, and three, probably on some sort of drugs when doing their little animating shit. Because you see some creatures and you're like, who thinks of that? Like, that's fucking weird.
It's not
that's how I feel about Bugs and all.
Yeah,
it's not, George. It's not like Mad God level, is it? Like in terms of the.
No, it's not. I mean, the stop motion of Mad God just makes it so much dirtier.
Weird.
Which is weird, but yeah. So like I said, the spectacle aspect of this film holds up, and you guys know I'm an absolute sucker for that shit. And just seeing it on the big screen was very cool. I also mentioned in my TikTok review, and again, no spoilers, this movie does harp on a lot of adult themes, climate change. We have a lot of LGBTQ characters. We have a lot of interracial couples. By no means does that turn me off, but I think the movie focused a little too much on emphasizing the more adult themes of this movie rather than actually developing their characters and giving us something to care about. And that aspect of the film, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Letterboxd. It's being review bombed for those reasons, which I think is stupid. I think there are a lot of movies that take those themes and just shove them down your throat. This movie does a very good job at making it more so educational, because at the end of the day, this is a kid's movie, and I think this movie does a very good job at making this an educational film for the up and coming children of the world. Overall, I won a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I still enjoyed my experience. It was a quick hour and 40 minutes, so I think 3.5, slightly above average, but like I said, it just lacks that Disney spark that we usually see.
Quick one, like. This film obviously didn't get marketed that well. I've just looked on Letterboxd, and obviously this isn't like the be all and end all. This has under 6,000 logs. Letterboxd.
Wow,
that's low.
Holy shit.
It's
one of
really
Disney's most worst openings of all time.
It's funny enough. So
million.
It broke 2 or 3 days ago that it has the lowest cinema score of any Disney film ever at a B, and people are like, "Oh, that's a terrible score." Then it drops that Bones and All got a cinema score of B, and everyone was like, "Wow, that's a great score." Great
cinema
move.
Score's hard.
Cinema score.
I don't really know how that works.
I don't know. Well, I don't know.
I don't either.
I just find it funny that Disney has set such a high standard that a B is the lowest score they've ever had, and people are thinking it's a bad movie. But then something like a Bones and All gets a B, and people are like, "Wow, what a showing! That's a great film." What
do we say is the main reason for why people aren't going to see this though? Because under 6,000 for an animation is so low. It's the animation.
It's a tough week. There's a ton of new releases, and obviously a lot of adults aren't going to be picking to see Strange World over Glass Onion or Bones and All or the Fabelmans. But at the same time, it's also Thanksgiving week in America. So a lot of families are either the primary source of audience is children, and they're either on vacation, they're either just hanging with the family on the holidays, and the parents can't be bothered to go to a movie. So I think it's a poor timing of the release, and also, like you said, Seth, terrible marketing. I only saw Strange World marketing in theaters when I saw the trailers. I never saw it outside.
And I will say, outside of the U.S., the U.S. is one of the biggest markets, but we talked about this last week, China's the second biggest, I think it is. It's no way it's getting released in China.
No, it's going to be.
And so that's another big thing. When's the last time a Disney movie didn't get released there? I think maybe Lightyear.
No, they just cut out.
Actually, that's Pixar technically. So, but I don't know the last time an animated movie didn't get released there, because obviously they're going into more educational themes on the LGBTQ community, which I will say as a newborn dad, I'm glad to see that, because I kind of grew up and didn't have anything like that. And I was an idiot for a lot of my life. But then you start learning things and not being an idiot. So I'm glad maybe my kid won't be a dumbass.
It's okay, Ken. We love you. We don't think you're a dumbass.
We'll see.
And then we want to do our 2 big reviews of Glass Onion and Bones and All. Cam, did you finish Andor?
I did not. The big Star Wars fan did not finish.
I was going to say, how dare you?
I didn't have time, man.
Nah, that's fine. We'll breeze through. We won't talk about Andor, because I do want to talk about that with Cam. Maybe we could do it next week, or even
I'll be done with it next week.
Yeah,
for sure.
Perfect. I don't think there's any rush to review this. So let's get into let's do Glass Onion first, because I think Bones and All we're gonna talk a little bit longer about. There's more. Yes, Cam.
Can we pause? Can I shit?
Yes.
I'll do that.
All right, so in a week of a ton of releases, all 4 of us got out to see Glass Onion and Bones and All. Let's start with Glass Onion. Like I said, I think Bones and All is going to require a little bit more time, and I think Glass Onion, it's a movie. I don't even necessarily think we need to go into spoilers. We're probably going to, but it's a very,
I have a lot.
Cut and dry.
I have a lot of spoiler talk. I feel
All right,
so.
Perfect. So we'll start with you, Cam. No spoilers. We'll start with just general, just thoughts. I know we all rated this decently high. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I think Cam,
3.5.
you were the same.
Yeah, I have an 83 out of 100.
Tyler, you were at a
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. All right, so we'll start with Cam. Cam, overall thoughts on Glass Onion?
I really like this movie. So it's very different from the original. Knives Out, one of my favorite movies of all time, honestly, at this point. Glass Onion was probably my most anticipated movie. Definitely one of them. I don't know what I had higher hopes for just because of how much I love the first one. Obviously, well, some people say it's better than the first. I don't believe that. I truly hold the first in very high regard. I think I have like a 98 out of 100. Like, I love it. And I said this earlier to you guys. That's a big part of that is because of how rewatchable it is for me. Like, I've gone back to that movie 9 times for some reason. I just keep going back to it. Whereas Glass Onion, I think is definitely more of a straightforward murder mystery. Knives Out, I think, is a murder mystery, but they kind of tell you the murder right away. I'm not going to spoil it, I guess, but if you haven't seen it yet, who cares? Knives Out, like, it kind of explains the murder right away, and that's not the intrigue. The intrigue is like how it happened, I feel like, whereas Glass Onion is definitely more of a murder mystery. And I texted you guys like 10 minutes into the movie after we met all the characters and was like, this is the murderer. I'm guessing it right now. Didn't even know who got killed. So I was completely thrown off with who got killed because I thought it was the person you expect to get killed up until that point. So then when that happened, I was like, oh, wait, okay, now I'm all thrown off, but I'll keep my same guess. Doesn't matter. We could talk about that in the spoilers. But I think this movie struggled at the start, and I think the ending was a little bit more of a spectacle than substance. And I think those are the biggest takeaways. But I think, like, if we're splitting it into fifths, the first fifth and second and final fifth are great, but the middle, like, 3/5 of this movie is so good to me, and I really, really do enjoy it, especially once they get on, like, the boat and the island and, like, the murder mystery stuff starts picking up. I think Rian Johnson does a really good job with his characters, really good job, like, explaining the story. Just struggled getting going and ending, I think, a little bit. So,
all right, nice. Tyler?
Yeah, so since everyone's going to be comparing Knives Out to Glass Onion, I'll just start off with that. So I don't know a way to formulate this into words to make sense, but so both of these movies largely take place in one house, but that means very different things when you see the houses that both take place in. And I feel like the Knives Out setting, I don't know if it's the fall atmosphere as opposed to like a beach house on the island, but something about that, the Knives Out setting just feels more comforting and more rewatchable. Whereas Glass Onion is so much of a spectacle that I feel like it's almost like too much for me to want to like watch this 5-6 times like I did with Knives Out, where Knives Out felt more quaint and grounded, whereas Glass Onion was just so much like raw in your face, which was fun from a production value. Like, this movie clearly had an elevated budget, elevated time went into these set pieces. Like, the house and the Glass Onion itself looked incredible. But it was very much escalated. And for me, my biggest issue with Glass Onion, the reason I'm the lowest, is I just didn't connect with any of the characters. And obviously none of these characters are really likable. They're all this is supposed to have social commentary about being anti-uber wealthy, uber elite classism. But I feel like in the original Knives Out, Ana de Armas's character, you get to see that character development with her. You get to latch onto her and you kind of root for her. Whereas in this one, I just feel like I didn't really care for anyone in terms of like any twists or turns that happened. I was like, oh, that's interesting, but it didn't really affect me. And then same thing with the Knives Out. I feel like the motive for the murder and why it happened made more sense in terms of like I could see why that person would go after the killing. Whereas in this one, they all had motives, but they all also had enough of a reason to not want him dead that I just didn't really feel like. That's why I just felt like it was so predictable for me, which we'll get more into in spoilers. But I was just like, none of them would actually kill this guy based on their life with him. So that's why, like, when the overall whatever came to be, I was just like, I don't know. It wasn't.
Once we get into spoilers, I had that like same thought at first, and then as I thought more about it, like started to really enjoy it. Once we get in spoilers, I want to talk about that a little
for
bit,
sure.
Tyler.
But just wrapping up my commentary on it is, I thought all the acting performances were good. I didn't really think anyone was great in this. Edward Norton was pretty good, but none of them really blew me away. Madeline Klein, I know she's playing a character that doesn't really have to have much range, but I didn't really care for her in this movie. Same with Dave Bautista. Again, it's kind of his shtick. He's starting to be typecast at this point to basically play that Drax type character where there's not really going to be much substance behind the eyes. He was fine for whatever. I don't know. I just feel like this movie, which I do appreciate social commentary. Maybe it's just 'cause I've seen so many with The Menu, with Triangle of Sadness, that at this point I've just seen so much. But this movie to me almost just delved into satire mode at sometimes with how over the top it was with the social commentary, especially when they're introducing these characters. But again, not a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. Very fun to look at from a production value. Awesome cast. Fun little story. I just found it very overly predictable. Didn't really care for the acting performances or the characters much. But still, above average movie. I enjoyed my time with it. Just was honestly a pretty big letdown for me, at least in the theater.
All right, which makes sense. You give it a 3 out of 5, which is the lowest of all four of us. Seth, you were a little higher. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's a weird one because I kind of agree with Tyler. I think bigger isn't always better when it comes to production and kind of the setting. There was this charming, quaint atmosphere in the first with this, like Tyler said, it's based in two houses, but they are really the polar opposites of each other. It didn't really have the same charm to it. I think it was witty. I think it wasn't as tight as the first one in terms of its script, but I think there were some really funny moments at times. Like Tyler said, I didn't really like many of the characters at all. I didn't really think they offered much. I think they were, yes, done well with the social commentary aspects, but I don't know. It didn't really work for me in terms of the characters. A lot of people are putting that down to the cast. Yes, the cast was probably better in the first one, of course, but I do think that is an expedition. I think it's a character issue more than just the cast itself. Also, can we talk about how we need to stop using like coronavirus jokes in films now?
Dude, that's kind of one thing. That's kind of one thing where I'm like, I wish they didn't do, because COVID sucked. I want to get away from it.
Yeah. We're past the point. I understand when it was just out of it.
Yeah, he wrote this during COVID, so I get it. Like, totally get it. It's something that I'm like, I just don't want to hear about.
I don't care.
2020 and 2021, that sucked. We're past. I get you. I get you.
The first sort of 10 minutes, I thought I was gonna hate. I really hated the introduction of the characters.
I did too.
Kind of the middle part, I actually really enjoyed. Like when we kind of did get a little twist in there. Yes, it was predictable, but honestly, I don't think that dampens the viewing much for me, because I actually found the first one quite predictable. But again, I really, really liked the first one. And I didn't love the end. I think it was a little bit too predictable for me, but it was a spectacle. I can see a lot of people liking it. I think it was a tight script. I don't think it was anywhere near the first one, as a lot of people actually did prefer Glass Onion, which really surprised me.
It has a higher, so we talked about this. It has a higher letterbox, but it's way less. Way less views.
I can't believe it's got a 4.1 to begin with.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Talking about it now, I'm like convincing myself that I should put it down to 3, because I feel like I have a lot of negatives to this. But I did enjoy it. I think it was funny. Runtime was it 220 for this one?
220, yeah.
Too long for me.
For me, I actually didn't feel the runtime that much, which surprised me. Yeah. I actually thought it was perfectly fine in terms of that runtime. But the characters are an issue. In a murder mystery like this, you want the characters to be the forefront. You want to invest into each of them. I cared maybe. I think Janelle Monáe, was that her name, the actor? I think she was pretty good. I think she was probably one of the standouts. I quite liked Edward Norton's character, him just playing just a horrible person. But apart from that was pretty much it. Batista made me laugh at times, but that's just because. Like,
you have a soft spot for Batista, though.
Yeah. I think I do, because he's just an idiot and he just plays the same cast. But
I mean, in fairness, he plays these characters so
well. It's funny.
Yeah, it's like I actually found I probably laughed more at his stuff than the majority of anybody else's, I would say.
Yeah.
But no, it was fine. I just think bigger doesn't always mean better, and it wasn't as tight. And the characters in the first one were so great. I think it puts the characters in this one down by quite a lot. But yeah, 3.5, 3.5 out of 5. I'll wait to rewatch it to see if that goes down. Yeah, it probably will, to be honest.
Yeah, I think this is definitely one that's going to require a rewatch. And one thing you mentioned, Seth, I mentioned in my TikTok video, I was like, this movie's bigger, it's louder, it might be funnier than the first. And then I go on to say, I don't think it's better than Knives Out. And a lot of people were like, well, that sounds kind of like an oxymoron. And I'm like, no, it doesn't, because just like being bigger and louder and
Doesn't mean better.
maybe funnier, depending on who you ask, does not necessarily correlate to being a better film.
Yeah.
And then one thing, one sentiment of Cam's that I want to echo is the rewatch value on Knives Out, the first one. I've seen that movie so many times. Every single time, I'm like, oh, no way is that what's happening. It gets me every time, that twist. I absolutely love the first Knives Out. In a year, 2019, which I consider to be one of the greatest in film history, it's in my top 5 of the year. So I, just like Cam, I hold it to such a high regard. Obviously, it's a 5 out of 5 on Letterboxd for me, which means it's on my greatest of all time list. So yeah, I was pretty excited coming into this one. I was also a little bit nervous because I didn't think Knives Out necessarily needed a sequel. I thought it was perfectly fine as a one-off. But
do you count this as a sequel?
Yes,
Yeah, I think it's under the same franchise.
Just because Benoit Blanc is in it.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I'm just saying, like, it's not like
it's not a traditional
related
sequel.
Yeah,
that's fine.
One thing I will say, I love Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc. I think and this isn't a spoiler, the whole conversation about winning it and getting an iPad had me losing my mind.
Oh my God, man.
I think he's so good in this movie. But yeah, this film, like you guys said, and we'll jump into spoilers quickly because you guys basically said everything I feel. It's flashier than the big one, than the first one. It's larger than the first one. It's on a larger scale than the first one. And I don't think it's as necessarily witty as the first one. I think Rian Johnson does a really good job at bringing back that quick, fast-paced dialogue between our characters, which I think made Knives Out so successful. Toni Collette not being in this movie just brings it down a couple of stars immediately.
Although what I will say, I was really excited when Ethan Hawke came on, and I was like,
man,
are we going to get like an Ethan Hawke character in here? I love Ethan Hawke. So I was so excited.
I didn't know he was in the movie.
No, same.
And I kept seeing a bunch of tweets that were like, there's one like cameo that's going to make everyone lose their mind or something.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it in the spoilers, but it wasn't the Ethan Hawke cameo. And I was so upset because I really thought he was going to be like, I don't know, like the butler or something of the whole weekend.
Like something of the...
I thought it was going to be dope. But yeah, I had a great time. I think this is a movie you need to catch on the big screen. It's a lot of fun to watch. I don't think any of us denied that. I don't think any of us were bored while watching this film. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I actually quite enjoyed it. I still think there were some elements that could have used a lot of work. I think, the simple nature of the first one and like you guys said, but it is weird. Like the calm fall aesthetic just kind of elevates this whodunit storyline in a very weird way. So let's get into spoilers. And Cam, I'll start with you because I know you have you're a little list guy.
I don't have a list this week, but I do have talking points.
All right.
So we're in spoilers.
Yes, we are in spoilers. So if you haven't seen Knives Out or Glass Onion, just leave. Please.
I'm going to explain the twist a little bit. Is that all right, George? So
Perfect.
There is an Ana de Armas character like in this movie. It's Janelle Monáe's character, but it is not the character you think she is. She's a twin sister of Angie, Addie. Andy. I was close. Almost had it. So Andy is a friend of these 4 other people, I guess. And then Andy had the idea, which Edward Norton's character steals. Edward Norton's character, his entire company is based on a napkin that he says he wrote on. And then that blew up his company. Andy actually wrote that napkin, but in court, she wasn't able to find the napkin. After the court, she finds the napkin. She hid it somewhere, finds it, sends an email, hey, I'm going to burn this guy to the ground. Edward Norton kills Andy, and then Andy has a twin sister. So everyone...
Poor decision-making there.
So time out. I want to come back to that.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Okay, no, that. I want to come back to a lot of poor decision-makings, though. But yeah, so, and also a trope I don't really like, but I think worked well, is throwing a twin sister or twin brother into a movie, because how are you supposed to guess that, right?
Yeah.
It's not even fun at that point, because why would you say a twin sister? I think it worked here because like that wasn't, I mean, it was the twist, but it was explained so early on, like in Knives Out. That's what I like. Like they explain it. That's not the point of the movie, kind of. And then obviously on the island, Dave Bautista's character gets killed. And that's when I was like, wait, I thought Edward Norton's character was going to get killed. Now I'm thrown off a little bit. But so, yeah. And then you think Edward Norton's character kills Danielle Monet's Andy's sister, Helen. So
Yep.
she's in disguise on the island as Andy. Okay. So that's kind of the story. The big thing that I want to mention is, Tyler, you say like this is a predictable movie, which it kind of is. I think maybe so did you guys see him hand Dave Bautista the drink? So did I.
Yeah.
So did I.
Right then and there, I was like, please don't make this the twist.
It's one of those things where I saw it and then he explains it. I'm like, did I see that right, or am I an idiot? So
Dude,
yes.
I when I left the theater, I wanted to flex to everyone that I saw him, but I didn't know if that, I didn't want them to think that I was just like being like, oh, he didn't actually guess it, he's just saying it. I swear I saw that right away. And then obviously Batista goes down and I was like, no way did I just actually catch that.
I saw that too. Yeah. So I don't think it was supposed to be non-obvious. I think it was supposed to be in your face, because so obviously Edward Norton's character, the big CEO guy, he is the killer. He kills Andy. He kills Dave Bautista because Dave Bautista is allergic to pineapple juice. And it's just an allergen, closes his throat right away. He says at the start, he says he doesn't fuck with pineapple, but then later his girlfriend is like, she can't even, Madeline Klein's character, he can't even have a drop. So I also like think it was predictable, but in the explainer, one of my favorite fucking parts of this movie and why I like it so much is Benoit Blanc is doing his whole explainer thing. You know, he's talking about the glass onion, peeling back layers, which, by the way, every time he opens his mouth, I am so giddy. I was dying laughing at like half of his lines just because it's Daniel Craig talking like that. His explainer is like, and early in the movie, he's like, there's no way it's or Edward Norton's character. He's too smart for that. And then at the end, he's like, wait a minute.
You're a dumb shit.
Edward Norton's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
He's a fucking idiot. And I loved that explainer.
The flashback to the word, the pronunciation.
Yes, man. And I noticed that too. You're watching it and you're like, what did he just say? But he's like, this guy is a fucking idiot, making us all think he's smart. So yeah, he handed him the drink because he's an idiot. He went and drove to her house and killed her because he's a fucking idiot and he didn't think anything through. He uses Daniel Craig early in the movie tells him that inviting all of these people to an island that basically want to kill him is like turning the lights off and putting a loaded gun on the table. And then that's what he does. And he's like, you stole my fucking thing because you're a goddamn idiot. I loved that, man. I don't know if like, Tyler, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, because like that was like one of those things where I was like, as I thought about it more, I'm like, holy shit, they told you everything that like happened and they explained it like, no way he did this. He's too smart. He knew he'd get caught if he got this email and then he went and killed her. But he's just so goddamn dumb. He'd do it. So that's something I really, really liked. And that's my biggest like talking point is that he's a goddamn idiot. And that's the explainer, which makes sense. I don't know. Anyone can give their thoughts.
No, I mean, like you said, like anytime Benoit Blanc opened his mouth, that was my like favorite part of the movie, just because he's Daniel Craig in that role is just so hilarious. But yeah, to me, I saw him hand the drink, and then it was right after he showed him his phone. I was like, there's just no way in this moment he's showing him his Twitch stream numbers, because also that just doesn't make sense. That why is a Twitch stream blowing up with views when it's a live stream platform?
I think he said YouTube.
I thought he was a Twitch streamer, but whatever.
Both, but
either way, I immediately, once he showed him that and then he died, I was like, okay, clearly he just showed him something that's going to corrupt his whole business empire. So that's why Edward Norton killed him. Then I was just kind of surprised that it went there. But like you said, they did try to like make it tidy, similar to Knives Out, where like the whole murder isn't really the whole mystery the whole time. But I also felt like the Janelle Monáe, like obviously, like you said, you can't see a twin coming. That's not something you can predict because it's just anyone can throw it. It's like, oh, we have a carbon copy. Ha, loser, you didn't know that. But the second she got to the island, you knew like she was clearly going to be involved because he was very surprised she was there. But yeah, I mean, in terms of what you said, like I did like the ending, and the whole reveal is always great. Like, and they're going to make more Knives Out than just this. There's going to make a third one at least. And that's always my favorite part of every movie is of these Knives Out is when he's doing his whole explainer bit. But then after that, and I don't want to completely derail the topic, but I'm just saying, like after the explainer bit, I feel like the end just dragged on with like they just kept smashing glass, and they're just fire and fire.
No,
that
I agree with. That's what like I don't like. The after the explainer is when it like just becomes it takes it to a 10, and they blow up the Mona Lisa, and they are destroying this glass, and the fuel he made or says he made is like an explosion, just like a catalyst to an explosion. Like that I didn't love. I'm with you there. But
did you guys so do you agree with what me and Seth were saying, that like these characters were a lot less, like you got a lot less invested in these characters than you did in Knives Out?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Knives Out was the better collection of just stars. I think just overall the Knives Out cast were just better actors and actresses. But that's not to say Glass Onion, because I thought Kate Hudson was awesome. I thought Catherine Hahn was fantastic. Yeah, I thought the cast did well for what they had to be there for. I think just the writing around them just didn't make me care for them as much as possible. Like everyone in Knives Out, like all throughout Glass Onion, she's writing down motive, yes, or opportunity, no, or yes, or whatever. In Knives Out, like you really feel like everyone has a motive to have killed their father. You really feel that. And that's because the movie does such a good job at just building up a story around everyone. Whereas I feel like Glass Onion just kind of glossed over everything very quickly and just kind of expects you to be on board with it, which obviously a lot of people weren't necessarily on board. But again, I say this cast was bad. I enjoyed these guys together very much.
One thing we kind of glossed over that I want to touch on is I personally really disliked the opening 20-ish minutes when they were introducing us. It almost felt like a poorly executed Uncut Gems almost, to where it was like there's so much noise and cutting and stuff that you're supposed to feel like overwhelmed and stressed, but it didn't work for me. I just really did not like the whole games and like especially Kate Hudson's character at that party, like all of that was just like really annoying.
Dude, but she was so fucking funny in that when she's like I'm staying off. She's like that canceled celebrity who's staying off the internet because she tweeted a ethnic slur or something, and then she's like I went as Whitney Houston as a tribute, and it's like this chick's a dumbass, and that had me die, and my theater too, dying laughing, man. But no, I agree with you. The like splitting of the camera, showing all three of them, and they're on the phone trying to figure this out. I thought that I didn't like that at all. Honestly,
I thought I was going to hate the film.
It just didn't necessarily make sense because like why couldn't he have just mailed the letter? Like, what was the point of all of these like simple games?
I think it's just like he always sends games. That's their thing. But
the box looked cool though.
It's fun. I think if they were doing it individually and not on the calls, I would have liked it. I think it's the splitting of the camera and they're talking to each other and they're figuring it out so easy. I didn't like that. With you there.
That's used in many films, and I never really like it. I think it just comes across as messy, to be honest. I just don't enjoy it.
I will say, to the point of the characters, I liked this cast not more than Knives Out. It's not comparable. We talked about it before. It's a B plus cast to the A plus that was in Knives Out. Doesn't matter. We knew that was going to happen. To the characters though, I liked that all of these characters were just shitty people, and this is Emma's point. So shout out her because I agree with her. She brought up after we saw it. She liked that none of these characters even tried to redeem themselves until it was better for them to redeem themselves than to stay on his side, because they're all such shitty people and they want to be on the right side of history or on the right side of everything, that they finally at the end are like, wait a minute, this guy's fucked. Now let's go against him. I like that, because even when he burns the original napkin, they're still on his side because he's got the lawyers, he's got the money to talk himself out of it. They'll be fine if he gets out of this. But at the end, when this dude is the reason the Mona Lisa was destroyed, which, by the way, is just a wild thing to throw in a movie, but I
didn't
kind of
like that.
Every time the Mona Lisa glass,
every time,
I chuckled a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just, it's just if you got enjoyment out of it or not. But
Okay.
I do like that the characters were all shitty and they weren't redeemed. They weren't redeemed at all, really, but they kind of were. But it was only because they found reason to go against him.
That's. And I wouldn't even consider it a problem. I still gave this movie a 4 out of 5. I still hold it to pretty high regard. I did have a great time with it, but I absolutely dislike films where there's no real likable character.
I think Janelle Monáe and Benoit Blanc are the only ones you.
They're the only, but in Knives Out, I didn't particularly hate every character because I think every character had a necessary motive to have wanted that will. I just think the situation they were in caused them to be assholes. Every character in this movie outside of Janelle Monáe, obviously, and we didn't even know that she wasn't a dislikable character until like 45 to an hour into the movie. I don't know if you guys saw the Rosamund Pike movie, I Don't Care, from like last year or 2 years ago. Not one and it's a good movie, so it's such a shame because there is not one likable character in that movie. The entire time I was watching this movie, I was like, I fucking hate everyone, and it's ruining my viewing experience. Even though like Kate Hudson was hysterical, even though Dave Bautista was hysterical, even though
was Kate Hudson? The
Birdie,
the cancel woman,
I hate
blonde.
her. I really don't like her at all.
Even though Madeline Klein is just fun to look at.
Bonk.
I mean,
morning.
I still did not love their characters. I didn't like anyone on screen, which is something I think holds the film back for me. Benoit Blanc absolutely elevates it because I absolutely adore Daniel Craig in this role. But yeah, any other last minute thoughts before we move on?
I think
I care a lot, by the way, because I couldn't find this movie.
I care a lot. Yeah,
okay. Sorry. No, you're good. I was just looking, and I'm like, what is this movie?
George, you know how you said that like the characters weren't in Knives Out? That like you didn't like them, but they kind of had a motive.
They had a reason for being assholes.
Them, but I liked how I hated them.
Yeah.
In this, I hated them because I didn't like the characters. Do you know what I mean? Like I hated them, but I hated them because the characters weren't well done. But in Knives Out, they were all pretty horrible by the end of it. But I liked how they were done because.
But it's like, it's like put yourself in their shoes. They just got jerked out of millions of dollars of will
by this like
by a nurse. Like I would have been pissed off too. So like it's one of those things where it's like you hate how much of an asshole they are, but like you understand why they are that way.
It's key to understand the motive, isn't it?
Everyone in Glass Onion is just an asshole because they have too much money, and like obviously that's just.
I kind of liked him. I'll say, I kind of liked him.
I think the thing for me is like why I didn't like him. Maybe Seth can play into this too. Is that it was for me? It was just like it was a social commentary that just went so far to the point of just almost became a satire, to where it was just they were just almost like unbelievable, like which they're not unbelievably like idiots or bad people because obviously people like that exist, but it was to the point where in a movie when you're seeing all this collective group and they're introducing them and they're just all so over the top and whatever trope they're going for, I just didn't love it. But I did love Ethan Hawke, and I wonder if like Cam said or whoever said that I wish I didn't have COVID. Seth said that.
Maybe.
I wonder if they agreed, but they had Ethan Hawke shooting the vaccines in their mouths, so they're like, we can't take Ethan Hawke's cameo out of this movie because this is gold. So maybe because like literally after that, I don't think they really addressed it pretty much.
No,
really.
they just like have him shoot some pill and then they're like, you're good.
Right.
Good.
But yeah, like I do agree with what Seth said though, where I was like, when I saw masks, it almost like triggered me in the beginning. It was like, oh God, like why are they bringing this up? And then since there's Ethan Hawke, like I do wonder if maybe they were like, we should change that, but they're like, no, we can't take Ethan Hawke out of this movie.
That was a fun little cameo. All right. That was that's our review of Glass Onion. If you're watching us on YouTube and you've seen Glass Onion, let us know your thoughts from the looks of it, at least from the people I follow on TikTok and Twitter. It seems to be a decently polarizing film. I think there are people on the end of, me and Cam who give it a 4 out of 5. We enjoy it quite a bit. And then Tyler, who doesn't necessarily not enjoy it, but just was a little bit let down. So it seems to be all over the place in terms of ratings. I expect that Letterboxd score to go down the more people see it, especially come December when it's released on Netflix. Let's move on to.
Sorry, is Tyler frozen for everyone else? Or is it just me?
Just you. He's not frozen.
Fuck? Have you seen the video I just sent in the chat?
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Can you
It's
hear
not-
it?
As long as Tyler can see it, it's fine.
No one
Yeah.
else. is frozen.
I'm all
It's
good,
him.
and you're not frozen for me
Really
either,
weird.
so we're all good.
Carry on.
So let's move on to Bones and All, which is another film all four of us were luckily able to catch. This is Luca Guadagnino's coming-of-age film centered around two cannibals. It stars Taylor Russell, Timothy Chalamet, and Mark Rylance. I need to start with Tyler. Tyler, you are giving this a 5 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. I absolutely respect the shit out of that. I know you love coming of age films. I think a bit more than the rest of us here do. But either way, I respectfully walked out of that theater and I looked at Victoria and I go, I can't wait to figure out how Tyler gave this a 5 out of 5. So,
I mean,
so start us off.
Yeah, there's no secret sauce or anything behind my rating. So I'm a sucker for coming of age stories. I'm a sucker for romance stories, and this has both of them because this is a cannibal story, like you said. There is true elements of horror. Like I know The Menu is also classified as a horror, but I would say Bones and All, clear. Like I don't think I'm crazy to say clearly more of a horror than The Menu. Would you agree?
Body horror, isn't it? Yeah.
So yeah, and like there was like at least one scene that got me to jump a little bit, like whereas The Menu didn't really have any jumps. So Bones and All is billed as a cannibalistic horror, but truly it's a drama, romance, coming of age story that I thought was executed super well. Going into this, like I would never say I'm good with body horror, good with gore and stuff, but I didn't really actually have an issue with this one. I don't know why, like it didn't bother me. But I just thought it was executed very well. A great romance story that was captivating. Performances from Taylor Russell and Timothy Chalamet I thought were both incredible. And Timothy Chalamet, just when he needs to do a cry scene, he just freaking nails it. That dude's one of the best criers in Hollywood right now. And I've said it before, I don't love Mark Rylance. And it's funny because Seth actually didn't enjoy him in this movie, but I really enjoyed him in this movie. Yeah, sorry, whatever. I just think he always plays that same character of Don't Look Up and Ready Player One, where he's just like a slow talking old dude. And in this movie, I thought he did deliver a quite a good range of acting, and I did really enjoy him in this one. But to me, it was just, this is what Twilight would be if it was executed perfectly. But Twilight's shit. Although I do get a little enjoyment out of the first Twilight, I'm not going to lie. But it's just a romance coming of age story it's a teenage love story at its core that's elevated by this crazy story that's unique. It was fresh. It felt like I was seeing something new for the first time in a long time of the 117 movies I've seen this year. And yeah, just to me, there was just really not much I could knock it for. I thought the acting performances were all great. I thought the cinematography was really cool. And just all in all, I just really enjoyed the story in this film. And there was enough underlying tension the entire time to keep me on the edge of my seat. And all the way to the very end, I just had a great time with this. I was surprised I liked it this much. I did not go into this expecting to like it this much. It was high on my radar just because of Timothy Chalamet, but I wasn't really dying for this movie to come out. But yeah, I not much negative I can say. I give it a 9.7 out of 10 for 5 out of 5.
I like that you mentioned Twilight because I saw someone on Twitter basically tweet like, if you go into Bones and All and you pretend they're vampires, you'll have a much better time with this movie.
Dude, they kind of were. We can get into that, but
so I kind of want to rewatch.
They're just vampires that while they suck blood, they take a bite.
Yeah, exactly.
they do a lot more than that, man.
Seth, what were your thoughts on this? I know you gave it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I think we all gave it 4 except Tyler, didn't we?
Okay,
yeah. So this one for me, I think will go up in like time, but I think that it embraces the premise of this like cannibal couple, whatever, but it is so much more than that, like Tyler said. I think it's like it's unhinged, but that actually helps when delivering the metaphor of alienation, connection, the need for love, stuff like that. I think Timothée Chalamet was fantastic. Like Tyler said, Mark Rylance's character, I actually really like him as an actor. I didn't see the need for his character personally. I didn't really think he added anything to the narrative that wasn't already said. It looked great, visually very pleasing. I really liked the score. I think thematically it made a lot of sense, but I think it will also benefit from a rewatch because it is thought-provoking, it is authentic, and it is more than just a film made to kind of shock the audience, like a Terrifier or whatever, something like that. And I think it's something that's going to take a lot more thinking for me personally. But yeah, didn't like Mark Rylance' character that much. Didn't really think he added anything. I think it felt like Badlands, which is a Terrence Malick 70s film, which is based on a true story about a couple who basically do things and they all come from different backgrounds. It felt a lot like that. I think it worked really, really well. I think, thematically, it did a lot better than I maybe expected it to. Just because I haven't actually seen... I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Is it Guad? How do you pronounce his last name?
George did a well.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I assume the second G is silent.
I think it is. I don't think I've seen any of his film stuff. Still not seen Call by Your Name. I haven't seen the Suspiria remake.
That's the one I thought you were talking about at first.
I'm gonna watch that because I've only just seen the original. So I didn't really know what to expect, but I know that a lot of people hail him as like this, an incredible director. But yeah, I really liked it. There's a few things I didn't like, but I can imagine it going up. I give it a 4 or 5. I will say, the gore and stuff didn't really bother me. I actually thought it might be a little bit worse from what people are saying. However, it's probably not for everyone because there is a few scenes, especially like the end scene, where it does get a bit, quite a lot, and I can imagine a lot of people wouldn't like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it quite as much as Tyler, but I think it will go up to maybe like a 4.5 in the future, let's say. But yeah, really enjoyed it.
And Cam, another 4 out of 5 star rating from you?
Yeah, and it's so like we just talked Glass Onion, right? And I enjoyed Glass Onion so much more than this movie. I don't think I enjoyed this movie, but I do think it's very good. I think there's a lot of very good parts of it. This is one of those where I made a video the other day of like 5 movies that I think are really good, but I don't necessarily love. I don't know if I'll ever rewatch this, and it's not the gore necessarily. It's just the idea that they're eating people, and it's like this is disgusting me. And I don't think
you love.
I don't
Fresh.
know. I know.
Fresh
man,
is
but
like
it's not.
Fresh
is like
Fresh was not
I can
like this.
Yeah,
I
Fresh
can
is not
take
like
my mind away from it because they're eating like a piece of meat, and you're
You know-
like it's a human, but this like you're just. You have to cook people,
Fresh.
right? For any cannibal listening.
Yeah.
For any cannibal listening, can you just munch into someone? You'll die, right? Like, you can't eat raw meat like that.
It's a great question.
I
That's the answer to.
I don't know.
Fresh made me feel a bit worse because like
Really?
when they were cooking it and like cutting it on the table and stuff like that. That kind of made me feel more uncomfortable in a way. I don't know what it is.
Then Mark
honestly-
Rylance on his knees in his
Like dribbling on
whitey
her.
tighties eating an old woman, man. That dude, just Mark Rylance made me like more uncomfortable than the human
Dude.
eating. Honestly,
That scene at
he
the
was
end.
so
The
he
scene
was
at the end
so
was horrible.
fucking creepy. I love him. I think he does a great job in everything. Yeah, he's not like the most crazy different person in anything, but I think 90% of actors aren't. But a couple things like aside from the eating of people, I think it was a quite slow movie, and I'm not gonna say I knock it too much, but maybe if someone can agree with me, I won't feel as bad considering I watched this at like 8 p.m., which isn't late, but that's when I put my son to bed normally, and then I just kind of lay in bed and I'll fall asleep. But this time, put him to bed, went to a movie, and man, I was struggling to get through it, and I think it was just a very slow burn for maybe when I'm tired, so maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Do you think that influenced your ranking a little bit?
Maybe, but I'm gonna say it doesn't, but maybe, who knows? But yeah, like I said, who knows? I also don't think, I don't know. I like coming of age movies a lot. I love The Edge of 17. Like Superbad's a coming of age. I can't think of any others right now because I'm an idiot. But
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off is great.
Moonlight.
Moonlight's so damn good. I love coming of age. Maybe not as much as Tyler. I don't think this thing, like, I don't know. I feel like what's her name? Carrie Russell. Marin. Taylor Russell. Thank you. Marin. I don't think she was any better or worse off than at the start of the movie. And we can talk about that maybe. Like, I don't think there was any change. There was obviously a lot of change in the movie, but at the end, I kind of feel like it reverts back to where she was almost. and we can talk about that more in spoilers. Those are just a
strongly
few.
disagree, but okay.
Okay, those are just let's
get the
talk about
spoilers.
that
We'll
in
get the
spoilers.
spoilers.
Yeah, but that's all I have for the non-spoiler section. Please continue. Yuck. Oh, also one last thing. Every time, you guys can never go to a movie with me because every time they ate a person, I looked over to my wife and I said, "Nom nom 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 nom."
Oh my god, Seth would kill you.
And that's all I have. Good night.
Yeah, I also gave this a 4 out of 5, and I'm not even gonna say that maybe it'll go up on rewatch or down on rewatch because I'm never rewatching this movie.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm with you,
George.
man.
I thought you would like. Maybe not. I thought you'd love this.
listen, you guys know I love me a good coming of age movie, a good romance movie, and this movie did give me.
You like things that make you uncomfortable. That's your thing.
Yeah, right.
No,
yeah, he
dude.
loves it, man.
Not kind of like I'm just not there with body horror. Like I can watch Martyrs and I'll be fine. I could
It's
watch
the idea,
Bro,
of
Martyrs is worse than this.
No, it's not. See, I disagree. I'd rather watch Martyrs because Martyrs is so absurd. It's like, okay, this is not real. But then this is like,
I guess so.
this happens in real life. Like the descent is like never happening.
Yeah, but in
So,
like Martyrs, when she's like skinned,
Yeah,
the
but like
whole body.
I don't know. I said this after I watched Alex Garland's Men and David Cronenberg's Crimes of the Future. I just don't fuck with body
No,
horror.
I hated Crimes of the Future for that reason. There was too much
especially
in it.
when it's just like in your face. Like I didn't need to see Mark Rylance on his knees in tidy whities eating.
Oh
That
my
was
God,
funny.
man.
Like
Oh
I
my
didn't need
God.
to see that. I don't know.
I hated it.
I think I'm on the same boat here as Cam, where I absolutely respect the filmmaking aspect of this movie. I think it does a really good job at giving us an endearing and heartwarming coming of age romance tale. But again, it was just adding the cannibal aspect of it that just kind of threw me off. And I know this is based off of a book, so it's not like Luca Guadagnino was just a psychopath who just thought of a cannibal.
You're really good at that.
I love your pronunciation, man.
It's
It
really,
thank
really
you.
nice.
flows really well.
It
Thank
does
you.
something to me
I would
every
have
time you do
butchered
it.
that shit so hard, man. I love it.
Thank you.
Just love it.
I got that Benoit Blanc effect with
Yeah,
Luca
dude.
Guadagnino.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I'm
But
in
yeah,
awe.
let's get into spoilers. And let's start with Taylor Russell's character because Cam, you kind of mentioned in a coming of age movie, you expect it's coming of age. It's about watching a teenager move from their, I guess, late teen years into their young adult years, and you don't necessarily feel we got that in this movie. I want to start by saying I think we did.
Mhm.
I just don't think we got it at the time that you expected. We got her transition from a teenager to an adult within 20 minutes of the film. And we're in spoilers, by the way, so please, if you haven't seen Bones and All, drop us a like, drop us a subscribe, and just come back after you've seen the movie because I'm about to spoil one thing right away.
They eat people.
They eat people. She came of age the second her dad left her. That is when she locked in and she became this young adult. So I could understand that maybe throughout the entire film, it didn't feel as her character development didn't feel as in your face as you would maybe expect in a coming of age film, and that's just because I think Luca Guadagnino's decision to give us a transition to adulthood immediately
Early on.
was it may have thrown people off. And Tyler, I want to know if you echo that or if you feel differently, because I know you immediately said you disagree with Cam's sentiment about there wasn't really a coming of age aspect here.
I get where you're coming from, but to me, coming of age can happen at any age. It's all about how you change your perspective. And for me, it starts off with her dad leaving her, and she's desperate to find a sense of belonging because she feels like an outcast. She feels like she's like, what I am and who I am as a very person means like my own father's leaving me and wants nothing to do with me. So then immediately her first mindset is need to grasp onto the next parent, need to find my mother. That's all I can think of. I'm lost. I need my mom. Drives all the way across the country to find her mom. Finds Timothée Chalamet and gets solace in him. And the whole movie is her coming to terms with who she is and what she's becoming. And then she meets her mom, and obviously that goes very south and different than she expected. And her mom's basically like, you need to die based on your beliefs. And then she finally realized that at that point, like, obviously it's weird because it's a cannibal thing, but it's like, she's like, okay, I'm starting to cope with who I am. And that's why I was interested that Seth didn't like Mark Rylance's character. Because I feel like for me, Mark Rylance's whole theme in this is that he's her past, and he kept coming up, and every time she felt comfortable with who she was, felt like things were coming together, Timothée Chalamet, Mark Rylance would come in, remind her of who she was, who her past was, be like, you can't escape who you are, you got to come with me, like, let's go eat some people, which she still obviously has to do, but I feel like him just continually coming up was just her past that just was never able to escape her, with her father leaving her, her mother being literally crazy, and everything just felt too good with Timothée Chalamet. So I felt like he just kind of threw in some good wrinkles into the plot. But to me, I don't know. I just thought the coming of age story being that she just didn't have any sense of belonging at the beginning, and by the end, she was able to come to terms with who she was. And because at the end of the movie, she's basically on her own at that point. She's on her own once again, but her entire perspective on life has changed throughout that journey.
Yeah, I echo Tyler's thoughts on that. I think the whole theme is an alienation, and she's been alienated so many times, from moving so many times and feeling on her own. And then, she grows when her dad leaves, and she once again is alienated and meets someone who accepts her as what it is and is similar. I think that's the whole theme. With Mark Rylance's character, I don't know, man. I understand the symbolism that's there. I understand this, it is the past coming towards her. In this film, for me, I don't think he added anything. Maybe that is the fact that he was made me incredibly uncomfortable, which is, of course, the goal for his character. I just don't think he needed to be there. I think we already knew what trauma she'd been through. I think we already knew when she, visited her mom, when she saw her grandma. Like, she already knew the past that was there. I just don't think it was needed to kind of bring that up continuously and trying to make the viewer uncomfortable in a way, because I think we already kind of knew that, if that makes sense. But I think I agree. I think coming of age wise, I think this hit that perfectly, because it was the whole change in perspective, in isolation, alienation. I just think, I think it worked really well in the coming of age aspect, definitely.
Yeah. What I'll say when I say like no different from start of the movie to end, I mean like after she's left her dad. Sorry. So not like, I do think there is a big change from when she leaves her dad, or sorry, her dad leaves her, I guess, to now, or to when she meets Mark Rylance's character, we'll say, because that's when he kind of teaches her that like there are a lot more people out there that munch on bones, I guess. And so I see what you guys are saying. I just feel like, and here's another spoiler, at the very end, Mark Rylance comes back, and so he's obviously a creepy motherfucker. He comes back because she tells him she doesn't love him or whatever, and this dude's so fucked up in the head beyond eating people. He comes back and is gonna like kill her or eat her, I believe, and then Timmy comes in. They fight him, they kill him, but in the process, Timmy gets stabbed. Timmy's dying, and Timmy tells her to eat him.
It's so
weird. I think, so I think the assumption is she eats him, like bones and all, like the plot says, because earlier in the movie they meet
that guy
other weirdos who eat people bones and all, which not possible. I'm going to say it right
literally
now.
Impossible.
Quite literally impossible.
I still don't know if they were talking literally anytime they talked about that anyway, so I still think it might be more
doesn't matter. Maybe she just ate him and then got rid of the bones or whatever, because she does clean it all up. And at that point, I'm kind of like, yeah, she's grown in who she is, and maybe maybe the solution is she's accepted that she's she's accepted that she's a cannibal, and she's just going to be this cannibal for the rest of her life. But I didn't really get that, and I also didn't get that she wasn't a cannibal anymore. I kind of wanted them to go one way or the other. She's either grown and not become a cannibal anymore, or she's grown and she is fully in cannibal mode. And maybe that's the big resolution, and I didn't necessarily get it. Whatever. That's just kind of where I was at. But I think she was on her own after her dad left her, and she's on her own at the very end.
I don't think you're wrong. I think it's just another one of those films where you can make assumptions on the ending. Same as like After Sun. I don't think anyone's necessarily right or wrong, but I can definitely see why you would anticipate, why you would think that. I just think definitely bad. I think the ending is so open-minded. You don't know where she's going to end up. You don't know if it'll go back to square one again. You don't know if because of her experiences during the film that she's kind of learned to accept that, and she goes on her own and becomes her own person and grows with that. But again, I don't think anyone's kind of right or wrong with this, because it is so Down to your interpretation as to where she goes after that happens at the end. But yeah.
That whole I would have been so cool if the film ended like where they had panned to like a card. She was basically giving like a little monologue, like right before the Mark Rylance scene.
I would too.
If the movie had ended there, this might have been a 4.5 out of 5 stars. But that final scene just left like such a bad taste in my mouth because like at one end, like you're kind of watching.
I don't think it was needed. Yeah,
not even that. Yeah, listen again. It's based off of a book, so obviously it's there. It's gonna be in the movie, but like, in one side of my brain, I'm like, am I about to watch Mark Rylance R.A.P. this girl? Am I about to watch him kill this girl, eat this girl? Like, I don't know what's about to happen. And Mark Rylance in this movie this is such a weird role for him to have picked up. I think I would have much rather liked a no-name actor step into this role because the entire time I'm watching this movie, I'm like, it's just Mark Rylance, and it's just gross because like I've always seen Mark Rylance as like this, cute little old man.
Guy.
He's the butler in, he's whatever, the cute old tech guy in Ready Player One and shit. So like
he's
this was
Mark Zuckerberg and Don't Look Up.
Yeah, like this was just such an uncomfortable role for me to see him in.
Yeah.
And then, in no way did I, and listen, I'm no cannibal, but I didn't see Timmy asking Taylor Russell to eat him as like an expression of love at all. I thought that was just like it felt like something that was supposed to be like oh, that's cute, it's like a, rite of passage, blah, blah, blah. I was like, this is gross. Like, you're literally eating someone you love. One of the first rules of the movie was never eat an eater. I don't know. The whole final scene left a bad taste in my mouth. And then I honestly didn't think Timmy even died based on that final shot.
She was munching him.
I thought maybe
big time.
What the fuck was that last shot? I thought he like somehow survived.
No, that was earlier in the movie. It just came back to that moment where they were together and they were in love. That was like when they were. I forget where they were, but they were in this like pasture,
like Nebraska.
They were sitting together, and they were in love. Okay. And so it just went back to that as like this is a nice moment in their life, kind of thing.
Yeah. The whole final sequence was just that. It felt very out of place.
Yeah, it was interesting though, because I mean, I know Seth and I are in the minority here. It sounds like in terms of not being as bothered by the gore, but I feel like this is a movie that if you're going into expecting like a cannibalistic gore fest, and again, I think Cam and George probably disagree, but I think you might be like disappointed thinking like you wanted more because it is heavy on the romance drama side. Whereas if you're going into this for like a coming of age drama romance, you're gonna be disappointed at the amount of cannibalism in it. So I think the amount of cannibalism is kind of like a weird amount. It's just kind of like half there to where like if you don't want any of it, it's way too much for you. If you want it like Terrifier 2 level, not going to be enough for you. But yeah, shout out. Yeah, go ahead.
It's just one thing. I just before you could, because to that point, this is not like a coming of age tale that you can half-ass. Like they had to fully embrace like the cannibal aspect of it, which I think they did. Because I think if they had dialed that down a little bit too much, it would have just come off very, corny and cheesy. It would have felt like a weird coming of age movie where they just like slipped cannibalism into there just for the sake of it. But they really embrace, and that's one aspect of this film that I truly respect, is that Luca Guadagnino was like, yo, we're going balls to the wall here. Like this is going to make people uncomfortable. This is going to make people stop eating their food in our theater. But we really need to just embrace it. Like we can't tell this story and half-ass it.
Yeah. And I agree with you, George, saying that like I wouldn't have minded if it ended 15 minutes earlier when they're at that pasture. But then I mentioned that to my girlfriend as we were leaving, and she was like, because she wasn't bothered by the cannibal stuff, but she was kind of like, she basically said I wouldn't want them to end on a note where it's like these two cannibals are happily living happily ever after. She liked that it ended with not happiness because these people don't deserve a happy life. So that part, I do agree that it resolved in a way that thematically I kind of can digest a little better, no pun intended, but they shout out Michigan twice on this podcast. They end up in Ann Arbor. She's a
Go Blue.
She not a professor, but she's like a teacher.
She works at a library,
right? But since she said a library and is at a school and is in Ann Arbor, I just assumed the University of Michigan. So big week for the University of Michigan, getting to be featured in Bones of All as well as going to the college football playoff.
Couple like small points. Shout out Midwest. Indiana was featured. We have cannibals. Shout out us.
Are you one of them?
Yeah, honestly.
Nice.
But one thing and let me know about what you guys think. I didn't like that. Like, I didn't like the lore of this, that they made it so like cannibals can smell other cannibals like from miles away. Mark Rylance could smell her from a mile away.
Yeah.
That, and also they kind of made like cannibalism like hereditary with her mom, and then Timothy Chalamet's dad was a cannibal, and it was just kind of weird. It's not; those aren't things that like I take a lot of points off of a movie for. I'm just like, I don't really like this. Like, it's
I
just
also
an
feel
interesting
like
part of the lore.
that this was my first question. Me and Victoria were questioning the exact same thing when we walked out of the theater. Like, how much of this is like real? Like obviously I'm not well versed in the cannibal community, but like, one, like, is it hereditary? Two, are their noses actually that powerful? Like,
No.
George, I don't think there are this many cannibals in the open cannibals in the world, man.
See,
Normally
we're not
no,
going to get messages like
no. Victoria said the same thing. She was like, "Does this actually happen at this?" And my first thing was yes. Like,
as a Midwestern, no. Also,
people are fucked. I'm just saying. It's all. And if you're a cannibal, you do you, but you're fucked.
You do you.
Do not do you. Stop doing you, actually.
I didn't have a problem with the whole strong scent thing, but it does make things very, very difficult, because the fact that those creepy ass dudes by the creek, you couldn't even lie to them and be like, hey man, like, we're just doing our own thing on a date night, because they knew immediately. It's like, no, we know you're one of us based on the smell. So that friggin' sucks for them, because you just can't ever
them toes.
Yeah,
I think there's more to that.
Did they want to eat Taylor and Timmy?
I don't know, but I think they were definitely not gonna
so
do
weird.
good things. Like, I don't know what they were trying to do. They're gonna kill him, kidnap him, do worse things than that. But it definitely didn't seem like things were gonna end well if they stayed.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
I think they were just creepy, and it made every other cannibal look creepy except Timmy and Marin. What, God, I keep forgetting her name. Taylor, right?
Where is Marin coming
Taylor
from?
I thought it was Erin.
No, it's Marin.
It is Marin. I think it's Marin.
Don't they call her like Mare?
I mean, they call her a couple of things in the movie.
Yeah,
she has multiple names. All right. Any final thoughts on Bones and All before we move on, Cam?
I mentioned this. I mentioned this prior to the pod, and I said I'd mention it during, just when it starts, and she's a high schooler, obviously, that moved to this town, and then she goes there for a sleepover. She sneaks out of her house, goes to a friend's house for a sleepover.
Leaves the window open.
Yeah, and then she's under like a table with a girl, and I almost thought they were gonna have them kiss or something.
I did.
Like, she's looking at her like she's in love.
No, then
like,
you realize she's smelling her.
Yeah,
that's what
exactly. And then like she gets new nail polish, and she shows Marin the new nail polish, and then Marin just bites her finger off basically, and I'm like. I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck is going on?" That's when the movie just kind of starts rolling. And her. Oh, another point I really did not like a whole lot. This movie had a ton of exposition through her dad's audio recording, like explaining her childhood basically. And I'm like, this doesn't sound like a real thing that a person would say. It just sounds like exposition to get you through the movie. But again, that's just something I didn't like.
Also,
it's not a huge deal. But
just one thing about those tapes, like, he is in those tapes, he's obviously admitting to a ton of crimes, and he is just relying on his
her
daughter breaking. Like, you got a lot of trust in someone that you just left.
Yeah.
I don't know how much he cared about his life at that point, though, knowing that his wife went crazy and that his daughter's also that way. I kind of took it as he's just like, you're on your own. I'm going to go just drink liquor until I die.
Yeah.
All right. We'll wrap our Bones and All review there. If you saw Bones and All, if you're following this podcast episode on YouTube, let us know what you thought of this movie. Once again, Tyler, 5 out of 5. Myself, Seth, and Cam, all 4 out of 5s. With
81 out of 100. Don't rope me into your shit.
Oh, my.
Cam very specifically asked me to say that he abides by 5 out of 5 star supremacy.
Yeah.
I don't. We're kind of pushing the 2 hour mark. So I just want to talk about literally one bit of news, something that I saw this morning, Johnny Depp will reportedly return as Jack Sparrow. He is scheduled for a test shoot in the UK in February, according to a new call sheet from the production.
What's the source?
No shot.
This is Puberty on Puberty or whatever you call it, who is a pretty, in my mind, reliable source. It's up to you guys how much you want to believe that.
Even if I believe, I'm not that bothered about it, to be honest. Like, the last two films for me just really put on the series where I just to the point where I don't really care about his character anymore.
Yeah, I feel like we're at the point where just like Pirates of the Caribbean is like joining the likes of like Fast and Furious and Halloween, where it's just like stop.
The more they do, the worse it's going to get, and the more it's going to put. And people will not remember how good the first one is the longer it goes on. Do you know what I mean?
And I might have been one of you guys who had mentioned where like Jack Sparrow was like a genuinely intelligent character in like the first two. I think it might have been you, Tyler, on one of our Real Quicks, but Jack Sparrow was like a nice, intelligent character in like the first 2-3 movies, and then the last two, he's just an absolute dipshit.
He's an idiot. They just made him into...
So trust me, I love Johnny Depp in this role, but let's just stop with these movies, and then we'll wait for Cam to get back to start our draft. So we'll just do another bit of news that I have. Bambi horror film. Let's fucking go. Best picture winner right there.
So many of these films.
At this point, it's like, I feel like every single episode of our podcast we've talked
There's
about
a new one.
And you know what I just found out, Seth? The guy playing the Grinch in Mean One is the guy who played Art the Clown.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
In fairness, I will say that Terrifier, he is like the saving grace for me in terms of making that film watchable. Yeah. I think instead of someone who doesn't say anything, he is actually quite good.
I think the man goes from playing Terrifier to playing a shitty version of the Grinch. All right,
it'll make money though. We know it will. That's the thing.
For sure, will make money. I will buy it. All right, let's move on to our draft. Right. So we had a last minute change up with.
Like literally 2 minutes. I spent time on my draft. And then
I'm about to Google my draft picks. So
I'm looking at Letterboxd right now. I'm sick of it.
The original draft was you're stranded on a desert island. What 5 movies are you bringing?
Which was a great draft. Let's just say, George. Great idea.
It wasn't my idea. It was actually my friend Doug's idea.
Thanks, Doug. Really? Interesting.
I have my genuine friend Doug. So this was his idea, so he's going to be a little disappointed that we're changing it up. But the reason we changed it up last minute is because I like these drafts to spark conversation.
It's strategy related.
I was listening back to our saddest movies draft and our Thanksgiving draft, and I thought we had great conversation around our picks. This is going to be, if we did Desert Island, Cam would have picked Empire, and all 3 of us would have rolled our eyes. So.
That happens.
If we did Desert Island, here would be how the draft goes. Someone would pick something, and then people would be like, "Yeah, good pick. It makes sense for you." But like, and the thing is, I feel like it would
I think it's strategy.
The Desert Island thing for me, if I was starting on a Desert Island, I'd want like at least one like 5-hour movie, and on a graphic that would play so horribly. But I would have literally Googled what's the longest movie in history. That's coming to the Desert Island with me.
All right, so
I'm not taking one like amazing movie other than Empire. Like I'm taking just something that'll entertain me.
4.5 out of 5.
Our new draft,
such a clown,
episode 12 draft. Also, congratulations to Tyler for winning our Thanksgiving Day draft. Oh yeah. Seth and Cam still at 1 win each.
Yeah, let's not even talk about the sad movies. That upset me.
Hey man,
it's okay.
Here's what I'll say.
I just had a better
Seth
list.
Wins that. Why did you vote for me then? Why did you vote for me? Vote for me.
Absolutely not. That's not how it works. Anyway, so our draft this week, episode 12, we are going to be drafting the best action movie characters, action movie heroes. There's a lot of room for interpretation on action movie because obviously The Dark Knight is an action movie. Captain America.
We're doing comic book.
Yeah.
Or are we cutting comic books?
I personally think there are enough like
I think we could
true
do
action
I think we could
heroes.
do two drafts with comic
So
book
are we
and
No,
getting
that's
rid of
strategy
superhero
too.
films then?
No, I think I will be including. I don't know if I'll pick
Okay.
a comic book character
All right,
because I
that's
think
fine.
there are
So we are
plenty
including
of true action heroes to fill up a team of 5. Draft order: Tyler, Cam, George, Seth. Let's just jump right into it. We are going in blind here. We had no time to prepare. For those of you listening, at least myself, and I know the rest of them probably do the same. We genuinely prepare for these drafts. Like I spend time like ironing out like rankings and lists, making sure that I know exactly what order I want to take everyone in the event that they are taken. So we're going into this one blind. This is either going to be a lot of fun or a massive screaming match for the next 20 minutes. Tyler, first pick of the action hero draft.
Oh God, I'm first pick. Yeah, like everything you said, I'm echoing. We normally prepare for these. This is the most on the fly I've ever been. And I'm very self-conscious about my picks, but I'm just gonna go Batman first pick.
Damn you. That's a good pick.
Wow.
I didn't see like I didn't even
Comic
think
book
of him.
hero first.
Good
All
pick,
right.
good pick though. That'll get you vote.
Cam,
Man,
take your Iron Man.
So I'm not taking Iron Man because I'm gonna keep this kind of more action rather than comic book.
Wow.
But I do think whoever has the most comic books will get the most votes, other than George, who has his minions, will get the most votes.
Oh my God, y'all are so
But
salty.
Tyler's been doing well. I'm just playing for podium, which I have been struggling, man. But I'm going with John Wick, my favorite action star.
Yeah.
No, take it. I take it back. Veto.
You can't.
I'm going Ethan
No.
Hunt.
I'll
take
give
it back.
I'll give you Ethan.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna get less votes, so I'll give it to him too.
Wait,
Yeah.
who?
Ethan. Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool.
I will take, in my opinion, one of the greats, John McClane.
Yeah.
That's stand. I've got 2 picks, haven't I? Yeah, cool.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna go for Maximus from Gladiator,
Great,
bro.
Ooh.
And then I'm
Good
also
pick. I really like
gonna
that.
go for a character from a film that I love. Action, yeah, I guess it is. I'll go for Vincent Hanna, Al Pacino's character from Heat.
Yep.
Incredible character.
That's a good
Good
that's a
picks. Good
pick.
picks.
Two
Yeah.
good picks. I didn't. Maximus would have been a pick of mine. I didn't think he would go first round though.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that, but that's a very good
I may have
pick.
took
like
him in
that.
the
I'm
next
still
pick in
going.
the second round, so I would say it's a good pick.
That is a solid pick.
I'll take it.
Is it Cam or George?
George.
It's me. I feel like this has to be a round 1 or round 2 pick, and that is James Bond.
Yep. That was my next pick.
Yep, that's a good. All right, I'm back at it. I'll take John Wick. Would have
Yeah.
gotten them both. That's fine. It's fine. I like John Wick. I'm cool with it.
Nice.
Thank you.
I got 2 picks here.
We're just so unprepared. I don't know if there's a fight to be had.
I'm gonna go.
I love it.
I'm gonna go John Rambo.
Yeah.
And
Are
then
you looking at the same list as me?
We're all probably looking at
Probably.
the exact same list right
I have
now.
3 tabs open of different lists.
Okay.
And then we'll go Jason Bourne.
No, fuck you.
Jason Bourne.
I didn't want Jason Bourne, so I'm.
Oh
happy
my
with
God, it's Jason
that.
Bourne.
Man.
I love those TikToks where it's just like some idiot doing like a stupid parkour move and it cuts to like,
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne.
All timers. Man, I think I can get a couple of the ones. I'm sure I could get this one later, but I'm gonna go Ellen Ripley.
Oh, fuck.
That wasn't
maybe
even. That's a.
Maybe
great
I
step.
wouldn't be able to get her, so I'm happy I did. I think I can get my other ones later.
I can't believe my next one hasn't been picked. Well, George.
Ellen Ripley would not have made it back to UK because she would have been one of my next 2 picks.
I didn't even have her. That's interesting.
My third pick.
You're gonna do it.
I don't know if I'm gonna do it. I don't know who you're thinking of. If I'm being honest,
surprised. I'm very, very surprised.
I really don't know who you're thinking of. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go the Terminator.
Yeah, that's. A good pick.
That's yeah.
Good one.
I like that.
So
I
I'm
like
gonna
that.
go
Sound.
for. I'm gonna go for Neo, which I'm surprised.
Oh,
Neo, damn. Okay,
That's a good guy.
I didn't think of him. So
I was not thinking of him at all.
Yeah, that was a.
You
That
think
was a miss.
sci-fi, do you? You don't think
That was a miss
Yeah,
on
I
my
wasn't
part.
even thinking him at all.
Yeah, good pick.
Yeah.
I like that.
One
You
more.
have another pick, Seth.
Do I?
Yeah. You're last.
Oh yeah, because I
You're
forget the. I'm scrambling.
We all are.
Aragorn.
Oh. All right. I like it.
Interesting. Again, I was not thinking fantasy. On
God
this.
damn it. Yeah. No, I'm not
I'm
gonna.
on Letterboxd. That's why. I'm
Yeah.
not looking at the list.
No,
They all
you're
become
fair. That's
action
fair.
Films, don't they?
I'm gonna take. He's not like a true act. Yes,
I feel
he is.
that
I'm
way
gonna
about
take.
a lot of picks.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Indiana Jones.
Damn you. Okay.
No, I'd say that is action because
Yeah.
definitely.
He was going to be taken by me next. So
Man,
it is
I
my
didn't-
pick now, right?
No, it's me.
Yeah,
It's
Oh shit.
Cam.
Okay, good.
He was my next pick, or maybe I thought I could maybe get him around. I didn't know if people were thinking about him.
Yeah,
But
man.
I didn't think fantasy. And now I feel like I'm going to be called an idiot if I don't take a Star Wars pick. But I'm not going to take the one you'd think. I'm going to go with The Mandalorian.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who did you think we were thinking?
I don't know. Maybe like Luke Skywalker,
Darth
or
Maul.
Darth Maul, Darth
Yeah.
Vader.
That's
You know,
that's
one of
fair.
them. I think I'm going to try keeping it more like mainline action, because you could say like Superman, and
That's
that's
what.
like yeah, go with them if you want. But
Yeah.
I'm taking The Mandalorian. Tyler.
Tyler, Mr. Toothpick.
I will go. Shoot. None of these people on this list are really standing out to me, but I'm going to go King Leonidas. at the
Oh,
4
you
slot.
literal fuck! No shot.
I didn't even hear because George started
That was
yelling.
brutal.
King
Oh.
Leonidas from 300.
Yeah,
You're
good
such a
pick.
cock, bro.
Sorry,
Dude,
man.
it was literally open on my phone.
Oh, you're such
See, this is Tyler getting you back when you did it to me with The Shining.
That was
The Overlook Hotel.
I can't believe you just did that. I can't believe you. I'm so upset.
That's awesome. Good pick.
See, like
I
the
thought
pick,
that would be such a fifth round steal.
well, my
That's a good
apologies, not really, but the pick I want to do for the 5th, I just feel like
Don't do it. I know what you're gonna do. Don't do
no,
it.
I just don't think it's a true action star.
It doesn't matter.
It's hard.
just-
The lines are blurred, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
So I'm gonna go Rocky Balboa.
No.
I don't know.
No.
That's a-
That's not
yeah.
like a lines are blurred.
I
That's
don't
not
We're all
action.
saying we're going to accept.
It's literally
it.
number
Yeah.
5 on this.
I thought you were gonna go with superhero movie.
I don't.
no.
I don't consider sports.
There's no
films
lines
action
blurred with superhero
film.
movies. Every single superhero is an action star, and that's just
Yeah,
a
but
fact.
I don't
Yeah,
think
okay,
every
that's fine.
every sports film.
I'm,
is
I'm
that
not.
action
I'm not
film.
giving you Rocky.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't know. It's just number 5 on this list. That's why I was like, want to
Interesting.
take it. Gosh, don't want.
I'm so mad you took King Leonidas, bro. Like furious.
I didn't even have that, to be honest. So.
My apologies on that one.
Fuck.
Zack Snyder. Did Zack Snyder do that, or am I making it up?
Yeah, it's 30.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, cool.
Zach, I think you mean Zach Goder.
Good old.
Shit. I
Goat
just, I'm just gonna have to
Snyder.
make a pick here.
Such a fucking loser.
I'm just gonna have to make a pick here. We are gonna go with.
I swear.
Fuck, dude.
Man, he's lost. I love it.
I'm so
Pressure.
lost.
The pressure. Can't perform.
I am so lost. I'm just gonna pick such a stupid pick. We will go with. Shoot, this is terrible podcasting, but I just can't. I'm just not knowing.
You're gonna have to
I
pick.
love it.
I
I'm
kind
just
of
gonna
love
have
this.
to
I
pick.
kind of
I
love this.
love it.
We should do this more often.
Put
You
in
know
the
what?
put in the Jeopardy sound.
I'll just take Bruce Lee from Enter the Dragon.
Okay.
Sure,
Bro,
good pick.
that's a good pick.
Great pick. Yeah.
That's a really good pick.
Man, I have a
I don't
couple.
know, whatever. I'm done with my picks.
I have one that I want and one that I think will get me votes, and I'm kind of in between.
I have one. I'm surprised it won't get taken.
I'm gonna go with the one that I think will get me more votes and pander this week. I'm gonna go Captain America. I think that's an action about as much as you get in an MCU.
And MCU.
I was this
get
close
it.
to picking an MCU character for my final pick too, but I don't. They won't be
think-
taken, but yeah.
I think
I'm
Seth,
gonna-
I think Seth just rolled his eyes to the back of his head.
Not as bad as Endgame. Yeah, please.
I was going to say, you know, the lack of female badasses on this list is appalling, but
It
Cam
is.
Oh,
It
Cam
is.
did
but
take Ellen Ripley, but I will add one to this list.
you're gonna say it.
this is who I wanted.
No,
but
You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it.
Here's the thing, Seth. I know exactly who you want, so I'm going to take another female badass because I know you want this person. I'm going to take Charlize Theron's Imperator Furiosa.
Good. Oh,
Because-
shit, man.
Seth, I'm assuming you want
So, yeah, I
Be-
probably want who you're thinking about.
Beatrix Kiddo.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
I was
that's who I
gonna
wanted.
go-
That's who I wanted.
I gave you. I think that's gonna get a lot of votes from the Tarantino fanboys, but I feel
I
bad
was
for
gonna
taking
go for-
all your horror picks.
Well, have we all finished picks?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna go for Mad Max.
Yeah, Max
But
Rockansky
then-
would have been a good pick.
Yeah, but then I was like, no, I need some women. So yeah, The Bride. That's definitely the number one for me. So
I mean,
yeah,
if I'm
I
being
wa-
honest, the Bride 25th pick is an absolute steal.
that is madness. Yeah,
I'm surprised that did not go earlier.
No one took Sarah Connor either. I don't necessarily like the Terminator
Yeah.
movie, though.
Laura Croft.
I think we
I
needed.
don't care
someone-
for those at all.
They're just bad
Yeah.
films.
Yeah. But that's a good draft. I didn't really have anyone. I'm on Movie Web's the best American action hero.
You shouldn't have
thing.
done that because that'll just come with action, wouldn't it?
I
Well,
can't believe,
yeah, but
You gonna
I
let-
know I know comic book enough. I feel like.
I can't believe Tyler took King Lear. Oh my god! I was so giddy. I was like, "Yo, it's gonna be such a 4th round steal right here. I'm gonna toss these fools."
I was,
All
right.
I was so close to
Wasn't
picking
on that one.
That in my 5th pick, but I didn't want
Oh,
another.
Man, that would have been a good pick.
It would have
I like
been, but I
Shang-Chi.
feel like
No,
for
you would have had all the
hand-to-hand combat.
Scorsese fanboys not vote for you because of that.
It's
Yeah.
fine. Fuck them. Fuck 'em.
All right. Well, that was our.
Do you want to run through the?
Oh yeah, let's run through the picks. Tyler.
With the first pick, had Batman, John Rambo, Jason Bourne, King Leonidas, asshole, and Bruce Lee from Enter the Dragon. Cam, with the second pick, took Ethan Hunt, John Wick, Ellen Ripley, The Mandalorian, and Captain America. And myself, with the
Like
third
my picks.
pick, I took John McClane, James Bond, The Terminator, Indiana Jones, and Charlize Theron's Imperator Furiosa. And Seth, with the final pick, took Maximus Decimus, I don't know his whole name, Vincent Hanna, Neo from The Matrix, Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, and Beatrix Kiddo, The Bride. That is our, I'll call it a sloppy draft, but I still think I had a good time with it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with my picks.
The only one I'm truly upset that I didn't think of is Imperiosa. I didn't think of her at all. That's a really. I think I may have taken her over all of my last 3 picks if I thought. I loved
Yeah,
her.
I mean, I would have definitely
Love
taken her over Mandalorian and Captain America.
Yeah, you
But
but you didn't. Or wait, I guess you did.
Well,
Yeah,
did,
okay,
technically.
yeah, it doesn't fucking matter. Who cares?
All right, that is a wrap on episode 12. Again, we covered a
3
very
months.
little news here, so we apologize for that if you come to these episodes for the news portion of it. But this was such a heavy release week in terms of new releases. We had Bones and All, Glass Onion, The Fabelmans, Strange World, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, and we even wanted to touch on Andor, but we will do that next week or maybe even a real quick. Again, we thank all of you. I know a lot of you guys post us to your Instagram stories. We absolutely love when you do that. We thank all of you for tweeting at us. It means the absolute world that you guys are not only listening to us, even though we're just 4 assholes with a microphone and a camera. So thank you for your love and support. Please like, comment, subscribe, follow TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Rate us 5 stars on Spotify. We have been hell-bent forever on getting into the top 200 film and TV podcast lists on Spotify. With all your support, we will get there as quickly as possible.
Gentlemen, any closing remarks before we wrap this up?
Also, sorry, just real quick, we did post the After Sun review. It was posted this morning.
This morning.
Go
I put it on
go,
story.
well, I guess technically Sunday morning because you're listening to it on a Monday.
Monday,
But
yeah.
go watch that. Also, we did a Thanksgiving draft. I believe Tyler, maybe you can tell a release schedule for the rest of the videos that we made.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I don't have an exact release schedule, but over the next 2 to 3
Make one
weeks,
up.
you can expect 2 real quicks or so. So be on the lookout because in between episodes, we'll have 1 to 2 real quicks each week for the next couple of weeks because we have a lot stocked up, as well as we'll be filming some more. So make sure you consume that content. Like George said, this was less heavy on news, but if you're looking for news, our Twitter tweets out pretty much everything or responds almost everything movie news related. So make sure you follow us on Twitter for more movie news. And then finally, today's secret phrase to comment down below if you made it to the end is Cam is the dad of the year. And with that,
Cheers.
that's all I got.
Yeah,
Anyone
right.
else?
That is a fact. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for your support. Have a nice day.